Welcome to FemTechNet. My name is AJ, and today I'll be creating an object that connects technology with the keyword race. When I originally began my object, my goal was to prove that women of color are invisible in Western fashion magazines despite their very real presence in America. According to the 2010 U.S. Consensus, approximately 70% of the women in the U.S. are Caucasian, 12% are African American, 16% are Latino, and the remaining percentage covers a number of minority races including Asian, Southeast Asian, Arabian, or Middle Eastern. To prove my point, I cut a single feature from each image of a woman I came across in the magazines. For each face I saw, I took only one feature, an eye, lips, a chin, cheek, or hairstyle, in order to construct a new image made from the cutouts. Then I would count the number of magazines it took to construct a whole woman based on her race. What I learned from completing my object was that invisibility was not the issue in fashion magazines. When compared to the demographics, the magazines represented the population statistics pretty well. I did, however, discover some far more shocking issues in the magazine's presentation of race. First, I noticed that it was difficult to construct a new image using women of color because the majority of their photos were taken much further away than the images of Caucasian women. In other words, the images of colored women were much smaller than those of white women. I also noticed when choosing bodies for my reconstructed women that the bodies of raced women were treated differently, especially in the bathing suit issue. While there were dozens of photos of white women in bathing suits, I only saw one image of a colored woman wearing a bathing suit, and her hips were actually covered by a sarong. Her photo was also too small for me to use in my object. Another issue I came across was finding images of colored women that didn't have ad copy splashed across their image. Whether across the face, neck, or body, copy is commonly placed over the colored woman's image, whereas this was rarely done for Caucasian images. I went back through the magazines and checked again to make sure that my observations were right. I found only 5 images of white women which had copy obstructing part of their image. For colored women, on the other hand, I stopped counting after a dozen. The most shocking thing I discovered from this experiment was the treatment of culture as commodity throughout the magazines. One Caucasian woman, for example, was painted with bronzer and made up to look raced. It's unclear which race the model is representing, but there is no mistaking the objective of the photo shoot. When compared to another image of the model, it's quite clear that makeup and Photoshop were used to distort the woman's whiteness. If you look closely, you can see her jawline is squared, her nose is squared, the levels are dropped, and she's wearing bronze body paint on her body. She's also wearing thick eyeliner all over her eyes. Another ad commodified the gypsy look. Historically, Westerners used the word gypsy to describe the nomadic families and tribes from various parts of Egypt. Here, in this magazine, however, gypsy is a look, a product that can be bought and consumed. Finally, there is the last ad I want to bring attention to. It is, in my opinion, the most offensive because of the popularity and wealth of the designer. This image was taken for designer Marc Jacobs. It depicts his fall 2012 line. Its uncanny similarity to the hijab is unmistakable. Now, the positive side to Marc Jacobs' fall 2012 line is that he broadened his appeal, or the appeal of his clothing, to all women, which is pretty fantastic. The mistake he made, in my opinion, was in choosing a Caucasian model and slathering her eyes in black makeup. I believe that Marc Jacobs actually had his choice in any colored model for this particular item, for this particular line, and he chose to use a Caucasian woman. Thank you for watching this keyword video. I invite you to respond to this video using the keyword race, culture, or technology.